So here we are, day 10. We've reached the final day of the 10-day chess challenge, and we start with this tactic where it is white's turn to move. Pause the video and see if you can find a tactic here for white. Okay, so first of all we had to identify the threats, and black has two very serious threats here. The one is to capture our rook, and the other threat is to check here, and if we move out of check, the pawn promotes. So that's two serious threats that black has against us, and both of them involve the bishop. Okay, let's start looking at the targets. Well, this bishop is a target because of the rook attacking him. The king is most definitely a target. In any position where the king is kind of exposed or can be attacked, the king should automatically be one of your main targets. And there aren't any other targets that we can exploit at this moment. We can't attack this rook, and even though we can maybe attack that rook, we can't attack it in an effective way because black has serious threats against us. Now, an important step is when we look at the motives, you should notice that if this rook can land on the a7 square, it will be checkmate. This is a checkmate pattern called the Arabian Checkmate. It's when a knight and a rook work together to trap the opponent's king in the corner. So if we can land the rook there, it would be checkmate. And the main reason why we can't land a rook there is first of all because we can't move it to e7, else the bishop is going to capture us. Okay, another thing you should notice here is that if we manage to land a rook on e7, then there will be nothing black can do to stop the rook from going to a7. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. And it helps us to understand that we should definitely calculate the possibility of this move. And as a matter of fact, it's a solution move because now there's nothing black can do to stop us from going here and there. You see, if he does something like this while we capture his rook, there's not much black can do. If he does the obvious move, capturing our rook, then we play rook to e7, and now there's absolutely nothing black can do to stop this move. Even if he tries to sacrifice a rook like that, we don't take the rook, we still play checkmate. Okay, so that was our first exercise. Let's move on to the second one. Black to move. Use your calculation process and see if you can find a tactic here for black. Okay, so first of all, the threats. It seems that white doesn't have any serious threats against us. He does have a check here, but I can't see that leading to much. We just move out of check. And he's threatening to capture our pawn, so we have to keep in mind that white is threatening to capture our pawn. Okay, next thing is we identify the possible targets. The knight is definitely a target. The king is most definitely a target. And because of this possible queen check, that rook must definitely be a target as well. Okay, so we've identified the targets, and let's start by calculating the checks. The obvious check move that we have to calculate is queen to g4 check. But white can simply block the check, threatening to exchange queens, and it seems like we reach a dead end. So let's go back again. And there aren't any other checks that we can calculate, so let's start calculating the captures. Bishop takes knight is the obvious capture we have to calculate, and here we see that if the rook captures our bishop, then he won't be protecting the rook on d1 anymore, and suddenly this motive comes into play. Queen to g4 check is now going to win material, because now if white blocks the check or moves out of check, we win material in the process. Okay, so this tactical puzzle again illustrates how you can find tactical motives, tactical ideas by just following the correct calculation method. Okay, we're going to move on to the last exercise now for the calculation training exercises, and I think we're going to do another visualize exercise, and let's make it a level 2 one. And here it is. Okay, so in this position it's black's turn to move. And when I click start, we're going to visualize the next 4 moves that were played in this position. So I hope you're ready. Okay, so if you want to see those moves again, you can just rewind the video, or else if you can see the position in your mind, use your calculation process and see if you can find a tactic for black in that position. Pause the video to think about it. Well, okay, at least some good news in this tactic is that it seems white doesn't have any serious threats against us, so we can start identifying the targets and motives. And the first target we should obviously notice is the king that is exposed and can be checked here on f2. And the other thing we should have noticed, and this is actually the key to solving this puzzle, is to notice that when the white queen moved to b2, the c4 bishop became unprotected and therefore it became a target. And so the solution move in that position is to play the queen back to h4, checking the king and at the same time attacking the undefended bishop. If you want to see the solution, you can see the white queen that went to b2, so the c4 bishop became unprotected, and queen h4 check wins material. Okay, so that's the end of our tactical exercises. I sincerely hope you learned a lot from it and that you enjoyed it. And it's not all over yet. We've got 2 more evaluation exercises to look at, so I'll see you there.